Legendary footsteps, the life of Sargon of Akkad. The sun hung low in the sky, casting long shadows over the blood-soaked plains of Mesopotamia. The air was thick with the acrid scent of burnt flesh and metal, mingling with the sweet, heavy perfume of triumph. As Sargon of Akkad stood, weary and bloodied, on the battlefield, the cacophony of victory reverberated around him. The clanks of armor and the shouts of his warriors pierced the air, each sound melding into a haunting symphony of conquest. Today, we create history. Sargon bellowed, his voice slicing through the haze like a sharpened blade. The weight of his journey pressed down on him, yet in this moment, he felt invincible. A victory shout erupted from his men, a primal roar that filled the cold air, sending shivers down the spines of the defeated. Yet amid the celebration, the ground beneath trembled with the agonizing cries of the wounded, a visceral reminder of the cost of ambition. Sargon inhaled sharply, tasting the metallic tang of blood, a flavor that had become as familiar to him as the dust that clung to his skin. "Men, we have conquered," he proclaimed, each word punctuated by the rhythmic pounding of distant war drums. "But let us not forget the price of this power." Long before the battlefield became his stage, Sargon endured a childhood steeped in hardship. Born to a humble family, the son of a gardener in the city of Azupiranu, he faced the bitter reality of poverty. The scent of damp earth and decay surrounded him, a constant reminder of his lowly status. At a young age, he witnessed his mother's struggles, her hands calloused and worn from endless toil in the fields, and he often heard her whispered laments on cold nights when the winds howled through the cracks of their mud-brick home. "Why must we suffer so?" she would murmur, clutching her son close. Sargon felt a deep sorrow, one that would fuel his resolve for years to come. He often wandered the streets, the grit of the earth beneath, his bare feet a constant reminder of his aspirations. His youthful heart burned with the desire to change their fate, to transform the stifling air of despair into the fragrant breeze of prosperity. "I will rise above this," he would declare to no one but the stars, his voice a soft fervor against the cool night sky. As he grew older, Sargon's ambitions led him to the court of King Ur-Zababa. However, his initial aspirations met a swift and brutal end. He arrived with high hopes, eager to prove his worth, yet the cold reception he faced shattered his spirit. The laughter of the court, like shards of glass, sliced through his confidence. "Who is this nobody?" they would whisper, their derision palpable in the air. One fateful evening, after a particularly humiliating rebuff from Ur-Zababa, Sargon sat on a desolate hill overlooking the city, the cool wind tussling his hair. In that moment of defeat, he nearly surrendered to despair. "Perhaps they are right," he thought, the sting of failure flooding his senses. "Perhaps I am destined to remain in this obscurity." But just then the sun dipped below the horizon, igniting the sky with fiery colors. It was a promise of a new day, one that ignited a spark within him. "No," he whispered with determination, fists clenched against the rough earth. "This is not where my story ends." Sargon's determination transformed into strategy. He carefully observed the weaknesses of the Sumerian city-states. One particular tactic he devised was the formation of a rapid response cavalry unit, utilizing the horses of the region. Assembling the most skilled horsemen, he trained them relentlessly, emphasizing speed and maneuverability over sheer strength. "Feel the wind against your skin," he urged his men, their horses whinnying in response. "We are not just warriors, we are the storm that will sweep across our enemies." When he finally mobilized his forces against the city-state of Kish, Sargon implemented a daring strategy. Under the cover of darkness, he split his troops into smaller contingents, launching simultaneous attacks on multiple gates. The cacophony of clashing metal and anguished cries reverberated through the air as confusion spread among the defenders. "They're coming from everywhere," one soldier shouted, panic lacing his voice as he stumbled back, a look of terror etched across his face. Sargon himself led the charge, adrenaline coursing through his veins. "Push forward, we cannot falter," he shouted, the heat of battle igniting his senses. By dawn, Kish lay in ruins, its once proud walls crumbled. This is just the beginning, Sargon thought, tasting victory on his lips, a heady mix of sweat and dust. The clash of metal rang out like a war drum as Sargon approached the grand city of Ur, its towering ziggurat looming against the sky, the smell of sacrificial offerings wafting through the air. The sun beat down relentlessly, the heat oppressive, yet Sargon felt a surge of determination coursing through him. This was the moment he had prepared for, the ultimate test of his resolve. As the armies met, the ground shook beneath their feet, the scent of sweat and fear mingling with the pungent smell of the earth. "For Akkad," his soldiers roared, their voices rising above the chaos, a fierce battle cry that echoed across the landscape. Sargon felt the weight of history resting on his shoulders. With each swing of his sword, he felt the heat of battle engulf him, the air thick with the cries of the wounded and dying. "Hold the line! Do not retreat!" he commanded, each word cutting through the cacophony as he rallied his troops. They pushed forward, a tide of relentless force, trampling through the remnants of Ur's once unstoppable defenses. In a fierce melee, Sargon faced off against the Ur's champion, a massive figure with muscles honed from years of combat. The clash of their weapons rang out like thunder, the impact sending vibrations through Sargon's bones. "You think you can conquer us?" the champion growled, his breath hot and rancid. "Yes," Sargon replied, his voice steady, "and this is where your legacy ends." With a final desperate strike, he disarmed his opponent, sending the champion sprawling to the ground. The silence that followed was deafening, the battlefield frozen in awe of his victory. As Sargon's empire flourished, so too did the seeds of resentment among those close to him. Discontent simmered beneath the surface, particularly among the nobles who felt their power waning under Sargon's centralized rule. One of his former allies, a man named Lugal-Zagessi, once fervently loyal, whispered treasonous thoughts to those willing to listen. "They call him a king," Lugal-Zagessi sneered in the dim light of their secret meeting. "But we know he is just a shepherd in a king's clothing, leading us to slaughter." It was during a banquet held in the grand palace of Akkad that the betrayal came to fruition. Sargon stood at the head of the table, a proud figure, his presence commanding respect. Yet as bowls of wine were raised in celebration, he sensed the tension in the air, a sharp contrast to the jovial clinking of goblets. "Tonight we celebrate our victories," he announced, but as he spoke, Lugal-Zagessi stood, his face twisted with scorn. "Your victories come at a cost, Sargon. You've forgotten who made you great." The room fell silent, the laughter dying like embers in a fading fire. "What do you know of greatness?" Sargon shot back, his voice low and dangerous. "It's forged in blood and sacrifice." In that moment, Sargon felt the betrayal like a knife in his back. "You would turn against me?" he asked, disbelief coloring his words. "After all we've built?" Lugal-Zagessi's smirk grew wider, and the air crackled with impending conflict, a violent storm brewing beneath the veneer of civility. Though Sargon's reign was marked by triumph and betrayal, his legacy endured through the ages. He was a man of ambition, a figure who transformed the landscape of Mesopotamia, yet he remained deeply aware of the fragile nature of power. In his later years, he often reflected on the essence of leadership, his voice filled with a weary wisdom. "Power is not a gift, it is a burden," he would muse to his advisors, the weight of his crown heavy upon him. "It demands sacrifice, loyalty, and above all, the courage to face both friend and foe. In the end, it is human nature that shapes our destinies, for we are driven by our desires, our fears, and our insatiable quest for greatness." Sargon of Akkad became more than a conqueror. He became a symbol of the complexities of leadership and the human experience. As his empire crumbled, long after his death, the lessons he imparted on ambition, loyalty, and the volatility of power continued to resonate through history, reminding us of the bittersweet nature of legacy. And though the sands of time may erase his name from the stone, the mark he left on the world of civilization will forever echo in the hearts of those who